Look, this is... I've always been a big fan of your stand-up. In fact, out of all the stand-ups I've ever seen, I've only married one of them.
Wow.
And that is how much I liked your act.
Yeah. And not that Rachel Riley turned it.
It isn't. I wasn't interested in her. So that is the highest compliment you can get.
Yes, looked at that way.
So that is how great I think you are as a stand-up. I mean, that wasn't the only reason I married. It wasn't just because you were a good stand-up. But you haven't done... I mean, you've only done, like, gigs every now and again over the last... It's like 12 years since you were last in Edinburgh, is it?
Yes.
So this is your first 1 hour show for 13 years, or
yes.
12, 13 years?
Yes.
And you did 2 in the kind of early 2010s?
Two back-to-back, a decade ago.
2011, 2012?
Yeah.
So 13 years in between,
yeah.
and you're returning to stand-up. So, I know you have done gigs in that time, but not like a full-on gig. So how is that for you as a stand-up to suddenly throw yourself back into the breach?
It's actually really fun, because I think the joy of stand-up for me was going up and down, and I hit a point, I guess, a decade ago where I'd sort of fallen out of love with it a bit, and I was doing other stuff that was sort of turning into more work than the stand-up was. I was writing children's books and all different sort of projects, and then we sort of did start having kids round about
Did
then.
we?
But that's an excuse. Loads of people have kids and still do stand-up.
I had kids and I still did stand-up.
Well, there we go. But it definitely makes it harder. I didn't do stand-up for the line. It was 5 years since I did my last stand-up show, so we both, having had kids, did pull back a little on the stand-up. Yeah, and so I just really... and I was doing other stuff too, so like I still had a note. I never said I stopped. I always said I only paused. And I still had a notebook and I was jotting down ideas. And then instead of that turning into I was writing. I had all these different writing projects, and I had like a funny parenting column for an online magazine. So any observation that could have turned into stand-up turned into an article, or I found another home for it. So I kind of was scratching the itch of like, I've got a good bit about this. And then also I was doing the Drunk Women podcast, Drunk Women Solving Crime, which I co-created and co-hosted for 6 years, and that took like a lot of time and energy. And also we did live shows, we did like mini tours, we did Edinburgh and London.
So you were still doing full-on comedy?
Yeah. So
just drunk all the time?
Yeah, well... but so I felt like I was keeping my hand in with the live work and the comedy, and that was more of a sort of an improv show and true crime and a few different... It was a format show, but it wasn't like scripted comedy in quite the same way. But again, really fun. And then, so it wasn't until I don't know exactly what changed. I guess just like time and the pandemic and what do you actually want to do before you die. And I thought that I just started to really get the urge to do stand-up again. And I really wanted to, I was like, that's a bit, that would be fun to say on stage. And I was accidentally working up bits in the live shows and kind of thinking, I want to do that again, So I just started booking back into gigs. But I think as well, like at the time that I stopped, I'd been on this, not exactly a trajectory because I was never like mega successful, but it was kind of like a sort of a tick list pathway of like, right, you do that gig and then that person might see you and then you get that gig and then that person might see you, and it sort of turns into a bit of a grind. And the joy for me of stand-up as well was that it's just fun and you've got permission to fail, and then as soon as the gigs start mattering, like, oh god, I really hope I don't fuck this one up, and then that's when you do fuck it up, and then that's the joy gone a bit for me as well. So as soon as it matters, I suck, well, psychologically, and then and sometimes in practice, and then as I think I remember saying, a comic said to me, like, you need to be 10 out of 10 at every gig, and I was like, well, I've got like a 70% hit rate, like, and that's not how you break through to the next level. So it was starting to get a little bit what's the word?
Disconnected, disingenuous, disappear,
like less fun.
Disgusting?
No. But anyway, one of those type of words.
Yeah.
And then, good writing. And then I think because I've started to get, like, literally was booking into 5-minute open spots, it was so joyful because it was zero stakes.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't have, like, if you know, like if I'd done that 10 years ago, I'd be like, why am I doing these gigs? I'm supposed to be doing this. But now I'm like, do you know what? I don't care. This is just for me. It's going to be fun. The whole thing about comedy is that you're an underdog. So it's supposed to be like, this might be embarrassing for somebody, but no, this is fun. As soon as you're an idiot, then it's fun again. So it's been really low stakes, and then it's just been fun to build up new material. And then also, just wanted to start working up a new show and book more gigs and start trying to... One of the easiest ways to kind of get gigs is to put on your own gigs.
Yes.
Because it is sometimes hard to get booked and people don't know you, and then they're like, send me a video, and you're like, I don't have a video. And then you can't get a video unless you do a gig, and then you can't get a gig without a video. And the landscape has changed since I sort of paused. Like, it's a lot more video orientated.
Yes.
And everyone's kind of their own TV production studio now. So some of the stuff that I could do doesn't quite cut it. Like, you can't just have a shitty video on your phone. They're like, you know, what have you got? So I'm sort of trying to work up like more pitch deck type stuff.
Okay, that's good. Did you find, because when I've stopped even for like a couple of months, I've found like I'm so rusty when I go back. I just think like that length of time, even doing, you know, like doing podcasts isn't the same as doing stand-up.
Yeah.
Did you find that? I mean, I don't think I did find it this time coming back and doing the ball back thing. I think again it was sort of good when you've had a bit of time off, a long time off. It sort of, you know, I think you're so happy to be back. I think in a way. Yeah. Do you think that's what happened to you?
I think if you can reconnect to the joy, then that's the whole point anyway. So yeah, I definitely know what you mean, and there's definitely even in the space of working up this new material, if I had like a good 10 and then I didn't do it for 2 months and then I did it again, it would be a bit crumbly, the first one, and then the next. So, because I have been a bit random, I'll have like 2 months off and then I have 3 gigs in 3 days. So by that third gig, I'm absolutely rocking. So you absolutely should be gigging every night if you want to be a good comedian.
Yeah, well,
but you can't.
Well, that's the that's the issue with, like, for me, like I did, but the ball back tour, I did that show over a period of about a year and a half before I got to the show, really.
Yeah.
Which I've never done before when we didn't have kids and before I met you. But when we didn't have kids, I would just do June and July and basically gig every night.
Yeah.
But that's obviously becomes impossible once you've got some human beings to look after.
Yeah.
And if you want to make it in any way fair to your partner as well.
Yeah.
So it is. Yeah. So it's interesting to do it sort of a bit slower. And you've been doing, you know, because I saw you do a preview of this show this time last year.
Yeah.
And it was already pretty together then.
A lot of it was sort of in there.
And it's a little bit different now.
It's definitely different.
But so it's called We'll See.
Yes.
Why is it called We'll See? We did sit down together to try and come up with a good title for this show, and we came up with We'll See.
So we've got that. Like, that's what we landed on.
Yeah.
But now we've got my my like party line story, which I now have a joke about, which is that We'll See is genuinely my favourite parenting phrase, because it's just a great all-rounder. You get to press snooze on whatever the problem is. But that is, it's not completely disingenuous, because that is why it was in the show in the first place. It is such a great. So when we're like what's the funny bits in it that could be a quick soundbite? That's why we landed like, yeah. So this guy gave me my title.
Well, but I picked out.
You said no to some of the other ones.
There was some. We tried some. We thought of different things. It's good to workshop stuff like that and think what the best thing to do. But it was literally just trying to think of something from the show. I mean, you end with a dance that's to We Will Survive.
Yeah, that's the big denouement.
And I think, like, in a way, we will survive, because this show is a little bit about, you know, I mean, quite a lot about your family and having a difficult childhood. And so that would be but it's a bit too much of a fun show overall, I think, to call it.
Yeah,
you know, We Will Survive is like, if I've had this terrible life and here I am, I've got through it.
It's not a misery memoir.
Whereas We'll See, it's hard, you know. I think, like, because you can't even review it with is Catie Wilkins funny? We'll see, because they have already seen.
Yeah,
so they can only say we saw, and she wasn't. We did go and see it.
That's coming.
It's too long. That's too long.
That
won't work for them. So I think it's you know, it's a really good routine and running joke in the show. So I think it does lend itself to the title. But as always, with stand-up shows, you think of, well, actually less so for this one, but you're usually thinking of the title before you've even got the show together. But you actually sort of had the show together before we came on.
Yeah, I did. Because I just kind of cobbled together the stuff that I'd been wanting to talk about and that I felt was my best stuff. And then I mean, you even said when you saw that preview a year ago that was potentially 3 different shows.
Yeah.
But I don't have the skill to do that, so it's still one show. That because my original title, which you didn't like, was Your Mum.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was really funny because that's a joke, but you were like, no.
I think it just gives the wrong impression to the casual viewer that it's going to be that kind of. Even though your mum works for the show, I think the casual viewer is going to think, oh, it's going to be that. I tell you what would be quite a good title for it, having listened to it again. See You in Hell, Suckers, which is what it's the way our son for a while was saying goodbye.
That's his
so there's a joke about
that's in there.
There's a joke about that. See You in Hell, Suckers.
It's good.
I think it's quite a bold. Maybe you can call the next one that.
But also, that would be false advertising for this show.
It's quite fun.
I'd have to work it in a lot more.
I don't think you would.
And then it wouldn't have the element of surprise because it's already the title.
I think it would still be fun to discuss it. It's a really good title, especially if it's not a particularly aggressive show. See You in Hell, Suckers. Here's some stuff about me and my family. You're probably right.